Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today in this video where I'm going to be talking about what it's like to go watch the ultimate Grand Tour, the Tour de France. I've long been a fan of the Tour de France, and so when it was announced that in 2014 the first three stages of the Tour de France would be in Great Britain, I quickly looked at the routes and found the closest spot where I could go and watch a stage of this historic race. I decided that stage 2 from York to Sheffield would be the closest one that I could go and watch. The spot that I chose to go and watch the race was Woodhead Pass between Manchester and Sheffield, and strangely the spot where we actually stopped to watch the peloton passes was in Derbyshire. So we watched the Tour de France when it came to Yorkshire in Derbyshire. Now I live in the Midlands, and so we decided to drive up to Manchester and park on the edge of Manchester, well away from the crowds, and cycle up to our spot on Woodhead Pass where we could watch this. We actually cycled all the way to the top of Woodhead Pass, which you can see now at the top celebrating there, and then we made our way back down where we'd come from to look for the best spot to watch the race. The spot that we looked for a straight bit of road so we could see the peloton coming from a long way off. And we also wanted a stretch of road where there was a decent gradient so it would slow the peloton down as much as possible so we were able to get the best view of them. The footage that you're watching now is my ride down from the top of Woodhead Pass. And as you can see, the crowds are absolutely amazing. There was quite an atmosphere there. Now the stages that were held in Britain in 2014 were heralded for the crowds that they had. They were fantastic crowds. But those of you that have watched the Tour de France before will know that this is certainly not unusual, especially in mountain stages, to have crowds like this. Once we found a spot that we were happy with, we sort of bedded down for the long wait to wait for the peloton. If you're going to watch a stage of the Tour de France and you want a good spot, my advice is get there early. Even if you need to take a nap while you wait for the peloton, it's definitely worth it getting there early to get the best spot. But don't worry, if you don't fancy a nap, you will be entertained. There's always, before a Tour de France stage, what they call the caravan that goes ahead of the peloton. And this is basically a huge advertising convoy, where all manner of vehicles and floats come past, with entertainment and free samples and all sorts of different things to keep you entertained and advertised to you essentially as you wait for the Tour de France. This is something that you don't get at other Grand Tours. I've been lucky enough to also be able to watch a stage of the Vuelta a España, and it was nothing like this. The atmosphere wasn't the same and there wasn't a caravan. There really is something very special about the Tour de France. It really is the greatest of all of the Grand Tours. And though the peloton is approaching, support cars will start to pass you and you'll see helicopters swarming above trying to get the best views of the cyclists below. When the peloton does eventually arrive, to be honest, it will be over in an instant. Even on this gradient, they passed us very quickly. After the last cyclist had passed us in the race, it was time to head back down Woodhead Pass and back to our car on the edge of Manchester. On the way back down, I got stuck in something I never thought I would. A cyclist traffic jam that went on for seemed to be miles and miles. We did eventually make it back to the car and I had time to reflect on what an amazing day this was. I'm really grateful I had the chance to go watch a stage of the Tour de France in the flesh, and I would say if you will ever get the chance to do it, make the effort and go and watch it, because even though the peloton does pass in a flash, the atmosphere, the caravan and everything with the day makes it really worth it. Anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for joining me, and take care.